alcohol here.
Can you hear us okay? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
We've got everybody on here.
We've got everybody.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order if I may. It is 7 o'clock on the dot. I think we have all the commissioners here, but to confirm, Ms. Graham, would you take roll call?
Mr. Breeden,
Here.
Ms. Height,
Here.
Mr. Wagner,
Here.
Mr. Greenwood,
Here.
Chairman Rhodes.
Here. Thank you. We had an amended agenda that went out, so that should be before you all. The only change that I saw was to the Zoom meeting. Is that correct, Ms. Graham?
Yeah, that would be
Okay,
it.
great. All right, so has everyone had an opportunity to review? Anyone have comments? All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda or the minutes.
I'm sorry, the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All right,
Second.
good. Mr. Greenwood, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so now we've got the minutes. You all should have had an opportunity to look over the minutes. Anyone have any discussion of the minutes from our January 5th meeting? Corrections, comments? I did not. All right.
The comment I have is I think they were very complete.
I did too. I thought they were great. Well done. So will someone make a motion to approve the January 5th meeting minutes as written?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Greenwood, you have a second?
Seconded.
All right, Mr. Wagner, thank you very much. January 5th meeting minutes have been approved. We have the public comment period now. During this period, we have individuals have a period of 3 minutes to speak. If you're speaking on behalf of a group, I believe you have 5 minutes to speak. So we're going to go ahead and open up for the public comments now. And if you would like to speak, please unmute. I think we can do it that way, Ms. Graham, and state your name. I think you provide your address and address the commission. Okay, last call. All right, so our public comment period is now officially closed, 7:03. All right, so the next item on our agenda is our unfinished business. The first item I have is our March meeting date. I have to recall, I don't remember why we hadn't set the meeting date. Ms. Graham, maybe you could elaborate on what date we're looking at and what we need to do there.
I think we were thinking to do it on the 3rd, which is a Wednesday, instead of the 2nd. We could do it the 1st or the 3rd.
Okay. Did someone have a conflict with those dates? I can't remember.
The Board of Supervisors is having a meeting
Yes.
On the 3rd.
on the 2nd.
Oh, it's also,
That-
isn't that also the, what do you call the commission that's meeting to review, the EOE committee?
Oh, maybe.
Every
Yeah.
Tuesday and Thursday.
All right, so let's take a poll of whether our commissioners prefer the 1st or the 3rd. I'm open either.
I am too.
I like
Mr.
the
Greenwood?
3rd. I like the 3rd.
Okay. Mr. Wagner and Ms. Height?
I'm okay with either, but I believe I saw that the Board of Equalization does have a meeting set for the 1st. So it might be better for the 3rd unless anybody else has a problem with that date.
Works for
Very good
me.
for me.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll go ahead. I think we can get that set on the schedule. Were all other meetings of the commission, planning commission meeting, I think we had set. Is that correct? Think so. I've got them all on my calendar. I think March was the only date. All right. I'm going to move on unless anybody has anything to say. We're going to talk about the bylaws. If you all recall, we didn't adopt the bylaws at our last meeting. We had some discussion about the ability of the Planning Commission to meet electronically, especially in light of COVID and the circumstances we currently face. Mr. Greenwood pointed out that the Board of Supervisors bylaws may have provisions that relate to electronic participation. We did forward those to you all, and I looked at them, and I think that they speak more to if someone is ill and needs to be absent. So I have a recommendation, and I'm happy to open it up to the other commissioners first in terms of what revision I think may address and preserve flexibility of the Planning Commission to meet electronically within the parameters of the law. Do you all have the bylaws in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to kind of plug along and then we can open it for discussion. My recommendation would be as follows. On page 4 of the bylaws, there's section 7.1. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lines down, it says the meeting shall be, and this talks about if the Planning Commission can't meet because of weather, the meeting's going to be continued to the following Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then it says in the boardroom of the County Administration Building. I would recommend taking out in the boardroom of the County Administration Building and adding a new section 7-5. The new section 7-5 would read, meetings shall be in the boardroom of the County Administration Building unless circumstances dictate that some or all members meet electronically as the law may permit.
John Breeden here. That sounds like it covers us very well. Hopefully, we won't have another pandemic for another 102 years, but who knows what the future will bring. And so I think it covers us. We obviously won't meet electronically unless we have to. So I'm fine with your wording.
Yes, and I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine with that wording. I don't know about the other commissioners, but I think that fits. I think that takes care of the problem nicely.
Okay. Mr. Greenwood, Ms. Height, or Mr. Wagner, y'all have any objections to that change?
I just didn't quite catch it. Are we going to put like a little asterisk or something in the actual 6th line of 7.1 and then take you down to the new subsection 7.5, or why don't we just put it in there instead of the boardroom?
Well, the way the language in 7.1 reads is it only says that we're going to meet in the board meeting in the boardroom if we have to move the meeting because of inclement weather. So my thought was to take out the place in the boardroom of the County Administration Building from section 7.1, and by adding a separate section 7.5 at the end of the section, that's where we address the location of the meetings. And it just says meetings shall be in the boardroom of the County Administration Building unless circumstances dictate some or all members meet electronically as the law may permit.
I see. Okay. I like that, but I also don't like the part where you said that's what I guess we had some questions about at the last meeting. people were changing the meetings because, like you said, it specifically does say due to weather. I think we
Yeah.
should take that out too, for any reason that we have to change it, because it might not be just
Well,
weather.
Mr. Greenwood, if I may, it says weather or other conditions as such that it is hazardous. And so COVID certainly is another condition that makes it hazardous.
Well, that's true. Okay.
Right. And so by taking out the location there, it doesn't dictate in those circumstances that we meet the following Tuesday in the boardroom. We just have, we take that out, and then we have the separate section that provides a flexibility. As we know that we can do this by law anyway currently, but I think it just provides a little flexibility. That's all.
Right. But I guess the thing that I'm saying is neither one of those conditions is why we moved the meeting. It wasn't because it has just conditions, and it wasn't because of weather. It was just because another meeting was scheduled for that date. So all I'm saying is maybe we should put a little bit more in there too.
Right. When a meeting falls on a legal holiday, I'm reading the second sentence, the meeting shall be held the following week. I do think it's a little bit confining, but you know, because otherwise this March meeting that we've just talked about, we would have to have the second Tuesday the way this reads, I think.
Right.
I think what Chairman Rhodes has proposed is the best way to handle that. The issue with inclement weather, it as she stated, we can do that anyway. That shouldn't be a problem. But we do have cause plenty of times to change a meeting because of inclement weather. Other than that, I think what she has proposed is fine.
Ms. Height, do you have any comments?
I'm okay with the changes that you recommended.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Graham, do you have that language? I'm happy to send it to you offline if you like.
That'd be great. I've got most of it, but I didn't catch all of it.
Okay. So I think we should go ahead and have a motion to approve the bylaws as amended in this discussion.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make that motion to
you,
amend
Mr.
the bylaws as discussed.
Thank you.
I'll second it too.
I'll second.
Oh, okay, Don.
All right, thank you. Okay. Ms. Graham, you're up.
Update on the draft ordinance and the comp plan. Let's take the draft ordinance first. We had the public forum last week. It started out well, and then I'm sure most of you have heard the meeting was hacked. So we had to cut it short before it was completed. They have done a taping of their PowerPoint and their presentation. And as of today, that is on our webpage. We have scheduled another public forum for February 24th at 6:30. We are advertising that on our webpage. We're advertising it in the papers. And the people that have called inquiring about it, we are taking their information and we are notifying them of this meeting so that they're also aware of it. We've gotten a lot of the surveys back already. Good response back from that. And we are planning a work session with the Board of Supervisors, Hill Studios, and the Planning Commission for February 8th. That's the comp plan. That's on the second one. I'm sorry. And that will be on the comp plan. And then this Thursday, our comp plan committee will have their first meeting. And I did send some information out to you all on this, just giving you the information on who our committee is going to be, and some questions that the Hill Studio is looking to get some answers on. If If you want to respond to some of that prior to, that would be great. This is something that Bill's gonna kind of be looking for answers. And they want everybody's input on what you're looking for and what you'd like to see in this upcoming comp plan revision.
So I think now's our opportunity for the commissioners to ask questions so that we can better prepare ourselves for that meeting. I don't have any right now. I haven't had an opportunity to review those questions that were circulated, but I think the questions are designed in a way that are meant for the commissioners and for the Board of Supervisors to organize their thoughts and provide some direction.
Something else we are going to need to look at is our future land use map. We are going to need to take a good hard look at that and what we're going to want to see on that, because it's going to go hand in hand with this comp plan revision.
And there was a timeline that came out too, I think, am I correct?
It did.
Right. So Hill Studios sent out, it looks like a draft timeline. And it's pretty comprehensive, actually. So we should all take a look at that. What questions do we have so that we can better prepare ourselves for that meeting? Does anyone have questions or recommendations for the group?
Go ahead. Madam Chair, this is Don Wagner. I sent out, and I hope you all got it, just some responses to the questions that Hill Studios asked, and I would like some review of those comments and to better prepare you and Mr. Breeden for that meeting Thursday night. You don't have a whole lot of time, and we do need to start getting our thoughts together on what direction this comp plan needs to go in. Anyone have any comments on the
Madam Chair, may I?
Sure, yes, please.
Yeah, so what I would strongly recommend is and I appreciated your response, Mr. Wagner. I did some work on my own before I took a look at it, because I didn't want to be influenced by what you had said. And then I compared them, and I must say you did a very, very good job on them. I did have some slight differences in the priorities, but you would probably agree with most of them once you saw them. Things like getting high-speed internet is a high priority for the county, I think, in moving forward, just as an example. But I would encourage everyone on the Planning Commission to send, to fill this out if you can before Thursday, and send it back to Ms. Graham to get your input. And I cannot emphasize enough, this full Planning Commission needs to be involved every step of the way. And I'm sure Chairman Rhodes will make sure that happens.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
I would agree. So we should get comments back. It'll help the compilation of this information prior to our meeting, our joint work session. Mr. Greenwood, did you have a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify, same thing you said. I mean, it came out today at lunchtime, and like I said, some of us still work, and I did not have time to even look at it or whatever, but I will try to look at it and look at Mr. Wagner's comments before that, and also get back to Sherry as well, since I haven't had time to glance over that yet. But thanks a lot.
Thank you. Mr. Breeden, I'm thinking that you sent your comments directly to Ms. Graham.
I've not sent them yet. I put them together, but I've been involved in a bunch of other stuff today.
Sure.
I went 3 or 4 weeks with no meetings at all, and all of a sudden I had a slew of them, one after the other. So I've finished them, but I've not forwarded them yet to Ms. Graham. I should do that tomorrow sometime.
Okay, well, I was just curious. I didn't know if it was something coming across our wires that we should have been looking for as well, or if you were just.
Well, I can send it to everybody, but I would encourage you to do your own before you look at mine.
Right, right. Does everybody have what they need in terms of starting this process? For instance, the map. I've got an enormous map that's the size of my dining room table. What information do we need as part of this process, Ms. Graham?
It is up to y'all. I know some people like the book that we put together with the draft ordinance. Some people
Yep.
did not. We could do something like that if that's what you would like. We certainly can put the existing and then, you know, as the proposed and the revisions to the comp plan come in, we have a section for that. We can put the future land use map in there, the zoning map in there. We can try to get a utilities map so you can see where like the existing water is, maybe where the proposed water lines are going to go.
That's a lot of work for you all, but at the same time, I would be inclined to say this is a pretty important process, and even though that does entail a lot of work, I think I'd rather have more than not enough.
If I may, Madam Chairman,
Please.
there are a lot of things we can do remotely like this and be almost as effective. The future land use map and that sort of thing is going to be awfully hard to do. It will be very, very helpful to figure out some way if we could do an overlay or some sort of comparison of the existing zoning, the utility study. That's going to be key. How does that fit in with where we see future growth for commercial, for industrial, for residential? So some of that is going to be necessary, and I'm not sure how we're going to do this effectively. But I know we have to.
Right.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Sherry, I talked to you before about the zoning map. The zoning map that we have is 2014, I believe. Has that been updated? And I know you all haven't had a whole lot of time to do a lot of that, but if it hasn't been updated, do we have documentation that Hill Studio can look at to determine where our zoning is, what recent zoning has been passed that may not have been placed on that map?
I'm not sure what the latest date is on it, but we will certainly make sure that you get the most recent one that we have.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would be helpful to all of us if we can have that. And again, as Ms. Rhodes said, I know you all are overwhelmed right now, but it would be very helpful if we could get that sometime in the near future. And if I may, Madam Chairman, I've been doing a little bit of research, looking at our zoning, our mapping, and it would be very helpful if the Planning Commission members, and I think Hill Studios, if they haven't already done it, to do a tour, a virtual tour of the county. When you ride up and down the roads, you can see a little bit of what's happening in the county. But if you take a virtual tour up and down the 360 corridor, the 30 corridor, up and down the two rivers, and look at all the development that we have got in this county and how it's located, it tells a lot better picture than just trying to ride up and down the roadways.
Right. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments? All right. So sounds like there's some additional information that will be helpful to us. I did want to backtrack just a moment because we've spoken about the comprehensive plan, and I want to talk about timing with the information that's being compiled by the Berkeley group and our timing as a planning commission. Ms. Graham, when is it anticipated that the Berkeley group will have the results of the various surveys? And will be presenting that we'll have that information?
As you know, it's going to end on the 26th of February. They expect to take 2 weeks to compile all of the information. And we are trying to get a joint work session between planning and Board of Supervisors. Nothing set in stone yet, but we're thinking March 22nd.
To review the results of the surveys. And
to
that,
ma- yeah,
okay,
to do a work session in Berkeley to go over all of their information that they have received.
okay.
Is it possible for us to meet ahead of the joint meeting with the supervisors?
Without being a joint meeting, just
Yes.
I can ask them to do that.
Yeah, if I may, Madam Chairman and
Yes,
Commissioners.
please.
So we've worked a lot on the zoning and subdivision ordinance. And we've made what I think are a lot of good changes, and I'm sure there'll be some additional changes we'll support. Where we're getting a lot of changes proposed, we can take those into account and agree with some of them, which is fine. And where we don't think they're in the best interest of the county, we can then be ready to explain at the joint meeting why we think they're not in the best interest of the county. As opposed to just getting the results jointly. And you know, it puts everybody in the spotlight at the same time without us, you know, the whole, my view of us is to clear the underbrush and present the best ordinances and comprehensive plan that we can to the supervisors. And I don't think that process would have us be as effective as we should be and as the board deserves us to be.
Anybody else have comments or thoughts about that?
Madam Chair, I have some as well. Sherry was saying work session the 22nd, but the 22nd is our regular meeting, so that probably wouldn't work. And then the next month is full of budget. So what I would recommend is maybe getting our group planning commission together to figure out everything that we want to present to the Board of Supervisors and then present it to them in the May work session. That way, all of our budget will be over, because all of April is going to be jam-packed with budget, and the 22nd is our regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors. So I don't think we should have a joint work session on that day. So I would suggest, go ahead.
Well, and I apologize that because the other commissioners haven't had a chance yet, but the original timeline, I thought we were going to not be approving this until September or October. So I think we have some time to stretch it out, and I apologize.
We may. So Ms. Graham, can you speak to what we're talking about and trying to get the Planning Commission? And I agree with this approach. I'd like to see and work on some of the underbrush and present a good product to the Board of Supervisors. Can you tell us if we use that time frame, not have a joint session on the 22nd, which there's a conflict anyway, and have the Planning Commission go over the Berkeley group findings? And here's would be my question. Would we just do that at the regular April meeting, or would we want to do a special meeting before our April meeting? Would that even be necessary? Any thoughts?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I agree with Mr. Greenwood. I do think the Planning Commission does need to get together and go over the recommendations from the Berkeley group and strategize on how we want to present that to the Board of Supervisors. And I think that would be best done at a work session rather than a regular Planning Commission meeting, when we can concentrate on just that subject.
I don't necessarily have an objection to that. It would require another meeting. Mr. Breeden is the one who made the recommendation.
If I may, if we have as light a meeting in April as we do now, we could do it at our regular meeting, but otherwise I agree entirely with Mr. Wagner to do it as a special work session, because we
Okay.
need to be able to focus on the ordinance, just as we did all of last year when we were going through it page by page and strategizing. So if we had a light April, I'd be fine with doing the April meeting. If not, I would strongly recommend a special work session.
Maybe we could do a special work session, and it may give us some more time if we want to add it as an agenda item to our April meeting to do something the week of March 21st. Outside, I know, Mr. Greenwood, you have a board meeting. Could we schedule something now in terms of a work session for that week? Anybody have an objection to any of those dates that week?
No, I'm fine
What
with
was
any
the
time.
date you gave? Madam Chair,
Yep.
what was the date you were suggesting?
I was saying sometime the week of March 21st, and that gives us a little break before our April meeting as well. And it should allow enough time, I'm hoping, for the Berkeley group to have come back with the compilation of the results. So whether it's the 23rd, 24th, or the 25th is kind of what I'm thinking as being a possibility.
Madam Chair, the same issues are going to be going on then too. Tuesdays, Thursdays, our Board of Equalization meetings, Mondays, Board of Supervisors, but we could probably do it that Wednesday, I would think. I don't think there's meetings on Wednesday, or maybe the week before the end, like Thursday or Friday, maybe. I don't know. Like,
As it stands right now, the only night during that week that's available is going to be the 24th, and that's Wednesday. Mr. Greenwood is correct.
I
okay.
hate to do it to everybody, Mr. Greenwood. I know you're going to be full up with meetings. I don't have a problem moving it to the week prior. I'm just concerned that we might not have the information.
Yeah, it's cutting it pretty close for that 2
Right.
weeks.
The 24th would be fine. Like I said, that it's just, it's an open day if it's all right with everybody else.
It works for me.
Also too, that next week is available that, it looks like the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st as well look like they're open.
And I'm okay with those as well. It just gives us, it's only a week before a planning commission meeting, but if it
Yeah.
eases it up for people, we could do that. You all have a preference?
No preference.
Okay, Mr. Wagner, Mr. Greenwood, Ms. Height.
Any of those dates is fine.
Yeah, I'm okay too. Like I said, the 24th, if we have enough time to do it, or push it. Like I said, if we push it too much later, we're just back to back, week to week with our planning commission meeting.
Yeah. Ms. Height, did you have any, does that work for you?
Yeah, the 24th is fine, or the following week, whichever works out.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and plan on the 24th, and if something changes, we can discuss that. I don't know what the notice has to be, but at our Wednesday meeting on the 3rd. Good. I think we got a plan. All right,
Thank you.
sure. Any other comments on the timing? I did want to backtrack on the adoption of the amended bylaws. I got a first and a second, and I didn't take roll call on the approval.
I wanted to bring that up. I didn't think you did. I wanted to say that.
Okay, Ms. Graham, will you take roll call on the approval of the bylaws?
Ms. Height,
Aye.
Mr. Wagner,
Aye.
Mr. Greenwood,
Aye.
Mr. Breeden,
Aye.
Chairman Rhodes.
I'll get the hang of it, I promise, guys.
You're doing fine.
All right, Ms. Graham.
Chairman,
Yes,
this is Bonnie. If I could ask or add one comment about the bylaws. For future reference, I really like the formatting, the way the board's bylaws are written, and I didn't know how anybody else felt about that. Not that we need to change anything for this year, but maybe something that we could look forward to for next year.
I think that's a great recommendation, and I agree. Let's maybe look at it next year.
Out of curiosity, Madam Chair, so how is the formatting different?
Well, I didn't have a preference necessarily with the Board of Supervisors formatting, but in terms of readability of our bylaws and the organization, I think that it could be improved upon.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. All right. Anything else on the draft ordinance or the comprehensive plan?
Just one thing, Madam Chairman. I listened in until we got hacked. I thought Rebecca did a very nice job on what it was a very complex task to explain a 200-page zoning and subdivision ordinance to folks who don't do this every day. I didn't have high expectations, and I thought she did an excellent job. And so, Ms. Graham, if you would please pass that on to her when you get a moment, I'd appreciate it. And other than that, you already answered all the other questions that I had related to the Berkeley group work. So thank you.
I agree with Mr. Braden. That was an excellent presentation. Well done. Just wish we could have completed it that evening.
Right. Thank you. Thank you both.
I just got kicked off. What was that, the gist of that from the beginning?
I thought Rebecca did a very good job of presenting a very, very complex subject so the ordinary lay person could understand it.
Was that at the Zoom meeting the other day?
At the Zoom meeting that got hacked, yes.
Okay, you went back and watched the whole thing that is posted on the website?
Well, no, I was there until it went down, and then I was there when it came back up momentarily. We realized that we only had 9 people in the waiting room, and we had 60 some before we got hacked. So,
Right.
so she did an excellent job. She couldn't handle the hacking, but
Right.
but then neither would any of us. So,
Right.
Can they figure out who does the hacking?
We're supposed to be able to, and the sheriff's been turned in, but since they didn't have the software on theirs like we do at the county, they say it might be hard. So, but we're hoping that they do.
Well, I will tell you, I was encouraged by the number of participants.
yeah.
It was beyond what I was anticipating for sure. So that's good.
Okay, that's what I wanted to tell everybody. If they didn't get to see the whole thing, Rebecca has recorded the whole thing in its entirety without the cuts, and it is on the King William website, but you have to download it and then you can watch it in its entirety without the cuts.
But that would be without the citizen participation.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
and supposedly it's going to be rescheduled. I think she said the 24th. Is that correct, Sherry?
The 24th, 6:30.
Okay.
On the 24th, rescheduled.
Oh, and that's when we just set. That's when we just set our special meeting for.
No, that
Yeah,
was
it
March.
wasn't
No, that's March.
March
We got-
24th.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all running together for me too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I just want to make note of that. All right, good. I think we've gotten some good plans of actions this evening. So thank you, everybody. I think we're about to move on to staff updates. Don, did you have something?
No, I was just going to add the only thing that I would see for the Berkeley group was we have no idea who hacked into this. It could have been local. It could be somebody from some other country or whatever. But I would just encourage the Berkeley group, if this occurs again, just to read, and I know it's difficult, but just to read on through and continue with the presentation. If you would want to pass that on, Ms. Graham.
Well, she couldn't. That's the problem. It got so bad that our county IT guys had to step in and do the whole thing because it started getting so bad, and they just lost control, and she wasn't able to even keep going. That's why we had to get the sheriff involved, and hopefully it's going to be situated. And then from now on, they won't be able to host it. We're going to host it since we have the software in place that would catch that kind of person or persons.
Okay, well, that's good. It must have gotten worse than what I saw then.
Oh, yes, it was very nasty.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Mr. Wagner, if you could speak up when you speak. I just got a comment from one of the individuals attending our meeting that they were having a hard time hearing you. And
Okay, I will.
okay, it does sound a little muffled, so if you could just be aware. Any other comments before we move to our staff updates and reports? Okay. Ms. Graham, if you would.
We pretty much covered the draft ordinance and the comp plan. Don't really have anything new. I have talked to the developer about the cluster development going in, and he is pursuing that. So as soon as I get a preliminary on it, I will scan it and send it to y'all so you could take a look at it. So this will be the first one going into the county.
How does the timeline look on that? I mean, what's a timeline in processing something like that generally?
He is working on the preliminary now. He thinks he'll have it finished in a few days. He's waiting on a surveyor. He's going to bring the preliminary in for us to take a look at and make sure that it meets all the criteria of the ordinance. If it does, then he will continue on. He'll submit that to us. I'm going to send copies to you after we just do a quick review of it. It'll have to go out for E&S review, for utility review. We'll need to send it to VDOT as well to look at the entrances that he's proposing. So it's not a real quick review. It's gonna take a little time.
Yeah, there's some various levels of review, clearly.
And health department as well, that'll need to go to them.
Okay. Well, there's, so you've got your zoning log, anything else on that?
I think so.
All right, violation log, do you have any comments about any of these other items, Ms. Graham, on the agenda?
I don't think so. Mhm.
Anybody have any questions about the items on the agenda?
No.
Okay,
Madam Chair, just one quick thing. I guess, like I said, some of the ones at the back said they're going to be in emails. Did they come out today for some of those logs? And also the one that's on the page, the violation log, if maybe they could print it the other way on the paper. It's so small on here, I can't even read any of it. So that's just a minor thing on that.
My apologies, Mr. Greenwood. I didn't mean for it to print that way, and I just realized it tonight. So I'll definitely have that landscape for you guys next time. And
Right.
as far as the other two reports, I have to get with Betty and Christy tomorrow. Those are their reports that they supply to me, and I'll just get those from them, and I will email those directly to y'all, as well as last month's. I know I still have not gotten those to you guys, so I'll get those out to y'all as well once I receive those from them.
so
Okay.
I'm
Thanks.
so confused. Is Ms. Cole here
Yeah.
at the meeting?
Yeah.
She's in the corner.
There's her hand.
I didn't even see you. That's why I kept calling on Sherry. What is
I heard-
going
I heard
on?
Social distance.
Yeah, I'd say I saw your hand, lady. All right. Well, good evening to
There
you.
she is.
All right. Well, does anybody else? We've got commissioners' comments. We'll go around the room, and the first in my Hollywood Squares box is Mr. Breeden.
Thank you, staff, for your continued work during these tough times. I cannot emphasize enough that as the Hill Group gets moving forward, we need to figure ways to get the surveys and the information to as many citizens as we can. If I can shift back to the zoning ordinance, we sent letters to everybody in the county, at least everybody outside of West Point in the county, Ms. Graham.
We tried to send them to everybody. I mean, I'm hoping we didn't miss anybody.
Well, yeah, if we did,
Letters came back.
is that something we can do for the comp plan as well? To get the word out?
We could, I don't know Hill has some of their own ideas of how to
Okay.
get the information out.
Well,
Let's,
going forward, the bottom line is we need to have as much citizen involvement as we can. So tell everybody, we need to look at every avenue possible to get as much input as possible for the comp plan. And other than that, everybody stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Ms. Height, do you have anything?
No, I think Mr. Breeden pretty much covered anything that I was gonna try to add as well myself. Just thank you to everyone on staff and everything that y'all are doing there, and grateful to the Berkeley group for trying to put that presentation together.
Great. Mr. Wagner.
Yes, I would just like to thank staff and the Planning Commission members for all you've done. We've been extremely busy for the last couple of years, but we've got a lot more to do in the coming year. Balancing two major issues within the county and trying to make certain we get proper input from the community, as Mr. Breeden pointed out. Ms. Graham, I do have one question. You and I talked a little bit about Rebecca Cobb's comments on the zoning ordinance, that they had made changes based on the July 2021 or 2020 state code. Have you been able to find out any more on that?
I have not, but I will double check with her.
All right, that is something that I think we all realize we need to make a final determination on what we want to do on the current ordinance, whether we want to make changes in the current ordinances now or wait until the draft of the upcoming ordinance is approved. And other than that, everyone have a good, safe weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl. And look forward to seeing you at work sessions or wherever.
And last but not least, Vice Chair, Mr. Greenwood.
Like you said, everybody else, like I said, pretty much touched on all the comments, but thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for staff and fellow commissioners for all the work they've done. And like I said, it's hard to do these things in Zoom. I wish we could hurry up and get back into meetings in person. They're kind of hard, but I understand that it still looks like it's still getting worse before it gets better. We're still having a lot of trouble with the vaccines. Hope everybody stays safe out there. Keep wearing your masks. If you're get on any list you can to get the vaccines. I'm on like 6 of them and still haven't heard back from any of them. But just like I said, be safe out there. Thanks everybody for everything. And thank you, Madam Chair, for your first meeting. It went really well.
Oh, thank you so much. I want to say for my comment is what a pleasure it is that the majority of our meetings, every single one of our planning commissioners shows up. That is astonishing, and it's exactly what we need right now. So that does not go overlooked by me, that we all show up. And honestly, that's a battle that we don't need to be fighting right now and fortunately we don't need to. So thank you, everybody. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting if there's nothing else?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. Second?
Second.
Thank you. And we will take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, all.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks.